So, good morning everyone. I am Joylene Pawig from BS Ed 3B English major. So, for today's video, I would like to share to you my analysis about the story entitled An Arab Shepherd is Searching for His Goat in Mount Zion and Others Poems by Yehuda Amichai. First, we should know the background of the author. Yehuda Amichai is recognized as one of Israel's finest poets. His poems written in Hebrew have been translated into 40 languages, and entire volumes of his works have been published in English, French, German, Swedish, Spanish, and Catalan. Yehuda Amichai, it has been remarked with some justice, according to translator Robert Alter, is the most widely translated Hebrew poet since King David. Amichai's translations into English have been particularly popular, and his imaginative and accessible style credited with introducing contemporary Hebrew poetry to American and English readers. The poet of C.K. Williams described Amichai as shrewdest and most solid of poetic intelligences. Amichai's numerous books of poetry include his first in Hebrew, Now in Other Days on 1955, which announced his distinctively colloquial voice, and two breakthrough volumes that introduced him to American readers, Poems on 1969 and Selected Poems of Yehuda Amichai on 1971, both co-translated by Ted Hughes, who became a good friend and advocate of Amichai's works. Later works translated into English include Time Travels of a Latter-day Benjamin of Deluda, Tudela on 1976, Yehuda Amichai, Alive in Poetry 1948 until 1994 on 1994, The Selected Poetry of Yehuda Amichai on 1996, Exile at Home on 1998, and Open Close Open on 2000. Amichai is also published two novels, including his first work to be translated into English, Not of This Time, Not of This Place on 1968, and Book of Short Stories. So we will proceed to the summary of the story. Yehuda Amichai's poem, An Arab Shepherd is Searching for His Goat on Mount Zion, touches on some delicate but powerful points. The two characters in the story are described as being on opposite hills. Both are searching for something important to them. An Arab is searching for his goat, and the Jewish father is searching for his son. They are both in their temporary failure, a description that begins a subtle threading of connections between what seem at first to be two peoples divided into opposite hills. Even though the two seem to be far apart on one level, they end up having more common than you'd think. Their voices are met above, and they finally find what they have been looking for. The child and the goat are found in the same bush. The poem also nods at the idea that children should not be caught up in the issues of their parents in the hills of the Hadgadia machine. In the end of the poem, draws a picture of two people who turn out to be very much alike. So the character of the story, the two characters in the story are described as being opposite hills. Both are searching for something important to them. The Arab man is searching for his goat, and the Jewish father is searching for his son. The theme of this story shows that these men are not so different and are actually very similar. So we have the different style of a theme. So we have the physical and emotional burdens. The men carry physical things in this text. However, the theme shows the emotional burdens the men carry with them home and through the rest of their lives. These burdens often do not find an outlet for relief. Those men who cannot find a way to relieve their emotional burdens may end up like Norman Booker. Those who do not find a way to communicate and cope like Tim O'Brien assimilate back into society. However, they still feel separations between themselves and non-veterans. The guilt. The men carry guilt home and find it difficult to cope would also fit under the emotional burdens. However, because of the concentration of themes, guilt could become its own theme. Friendship, the importance of connections through difficult situations. The men become both enemies and friends. However, their independence upon each other is paramount in their surviving the war and continuing on with their lives. Fear as a motivator. Tim's compliance with the draft and his decision on the Rainy River shows this theme perfectly. Tim's only motivate to go to the war, to be a coward, is that he does not want to shame himself and his family. Shame motivates Lemon to go to dentist and have a perfectly good tooth pull. We have the language as a protector. The men use raw language and jokes to protect themselves from the emotional horrors of war by naming burned babies crispy critters. They can push the reality to the deaf infants from their minds. We have the conflict. Man versus himself. The Hebrew man is looking for his son and the Arab man is looking for his goat. The man versus man. Hebrews and Arabs have ongoing war about land. The purpose of the story. This poem shows a Hebrew and Arab man that are not enemies. They both feel worries as they cannot find their children. They both call out looking together. They both cry and laugh together once the children are found. So the outcome of this story was both men find their treasures and they celebrate. Okay, that's all. Thank you.